Have you ever imagined living in a world with humans, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and a blockchain that unite, creating a new web? This magic emerging today is called the Spatial Web, also known as Web 3.0. It will transform every aspect of our lives.
There's a new world emerging right before our very eyes. A world where we seamlessly and naturally interact with augmented and virtual reality, opening endless possibilities to learn, collaborate, create, and explore. Where spaces and cities become smart, physical and digital goods are tracked, and people's identity, security, and finances are protected, enabling citizens, big data, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things to finally work together for the benefit of humanity and the planet.
Dan Mapes, the founder and president of Versus, a spatial intelligence systems integrating AR, VR, IoT, blockchain, and cryptocurrency to create the new spatial web. Dan has spent over 20 years at the intersection of internet technology and entertainment as an entrepreneur, inventor, and investor.
I'm CEO of a company.
He is also the founder and CEO of CyberLab 9, an award-winning global media lab that provides consulting services and development services for IoT, social commerce, encryption, mobile apps, games, and virtual worlds. In addition to his business activities, he has also been an advisor to the UN, UNDP, UNESCO, Nobel Committee, Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, Gorbachev Foundation, Obama campaign, and produced the first summit on the internet between Nelson Mandela and Shimon Peres. He has also been a technology advisor to the governments of China, Philippines, Brazil, Chile, Saudi Arabia, and Australia. He has been a new media consultant to both Apple and Intel and other technology and entertainment companies. He is the co-author of the book, The Spatial Web.
Let's warmly welcome Dan Mapes.
Thank you so much, Julia.
Dan, I'm so overwhelmed by your experience and the spatial intelligence systems that you are creating.
Thank you. Really, it's been a real privilege to work on these technologies, and we clearly need some breakthroughs to help us evolve as a global community, and so this is what some of the basic idea is.
That's great. Let's start with, why does the spatial web matter?
Sure. Well, I think if we look at the last 25 years of the World Wide Web, we see how powerful it's been. Amazon has become a new way to shop. But if we really analyze what the World Wide Web is, it was a very, very small thing. We were just digitizing our documents and our media. But the world is much more than documents and media. But the chips were very slow at that time, and the networks were very slow. So we could only digitize our documents and our media. But even with that, we're transforming our business, we're transforming a lot of things. Now, the chips have gotten very fast. Smartphones are faster than computers used to be. Our networks are getting very fast. We have 5G coming now, so everything will go almost immediately. When you have these faster chips and these faster networks, now you can digitize more than just documents and media. We can digitize an entire city. We can digitize our country. Well, look at the efficiency that we get from like Google Analytics when we digitize our websites. Now we're going to digitize our cities, our businesses, our schools, our factories, everything. Everything is going to move at the same speed that Amazon's moving at, and it's just going to change our world.
Does that mean everything in the future will be digitalized?
Yes. I think if you look in history, we've had three big breakthroughs. Human beings like us appeared on the earth 200,000 years ago. Before that, it was Neanderthals and other types of hominids. And for 190,000 years, we were just living like hunters and gatherers, just living in the woods. Then 10,000 years ago, we made a big invention called ag tech. We invented agriculture. Then we lived again for almost 10,000 years with that technology, and then we invented the printing press in 1450. And once we invented the printing press, that created modern civilization, because we had mass production, we had capital funding, and we had a kind of a modern education system around printing and low-cost books. And that's the world we're living in now. We kind of make Tesla cars the same way that we make books. We make them on assembly lines, we put them together, we put them in a store, people buy them and take them home and drive them instead of read them. So that's been a world that we've lived in for 500 years. That world is now passing. There's a new tech, it's called digital. And digital really began in a big way 25 years ago with the invention of the internet. And then the World Wide Web was added to it 25 years later, so 25 years ago. And so we had 50 years since the original internet, 25 years since the World Wide Web. So we're ready for the next thing right now. And the next thing is, let's make a web that everybody can use globally and create a world that we operate in, from business, education, health, every kind of thing all together. And that's really what the spatial web makes possible. And with the spatial web, we're going to create so much abundance and so much wealth that the whole economy will be flooded with, everybody will feel really rich. It's going to be quite an extraordinary time because we're unlocking a lot of value.
I believe the spatial web will change our lives to the better, but how will it help those who lose jobs to AI?
No, I mean, clearly there's going to be a transition. Even without the spatial web, AI is going to take jobs. I mean, people working at a Tesla plant, putting the wheels on the cars, robots will do that. People shuffling papers in a high-rise building and just managing things, AI will do that. So even independent of the spatial web, digital technology is changing our lives. The spatial web, what it does is it makes all these things work together as one thing. So you don't have AI over here, blockchain over here, IoT over here, VR over here. No, they're one thing. And you could kind of think a little bit like a human being, like our brain is kind of like the AI, our memory is kind of like the blockchain, our eyes are kind of like AR, VR, our touch sensing and feeling temperature and everything, that's like Internet of Things, IoT devices. When I pick this up, that's kind of like a robot arm. So really, we've kind of taken the human being and now we've digitized it and let it spread all over the entire planet. And with that level of intelligence, it can solve a lot of problems that we currently have.
Is that the core innovation and the value of the spatial web?
Yeah. So basically, it's very interesting when you look at it. So the internet was started in 1969 or 1970, and it was only email. And so the protocols just allowed messages to move around on the network. And then with the World Wide Web, they just created a new set of protocols called HTTP. You see it every time you load a URL in.
Yes.
And that stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. How do we transfer text over the network, which is documents? And that was great. That protocol unlocked Amazon, Google, Facebook, Yahoo, all these huge companies emerged because the protocol got created. So now we're creating a new protocol. Instead of HTTP, we're creating HSTP, Hyperspace Transaction Protocol, because we're doing actions in space. And so that's going to unlock 10 times as much as the World Wide Web did, just imagine.
Versus has developed the HSTP, or Hyperspace Transfer Protocol, allowing parties to agree on who, what, and where everything is in physical and virtual worlds. This enables anyone with the right permissions to discover what something is, who owns it, where it's located, and what can be done with it. It is a paradigm shift in the future of computing. Join us and our many forward-thinking partners and industry leaders as we drive the next generation of innovation and lay down the digital infrastructure to support a better future and a new web for people, businesses, our environment, and humanity. Let's build the spatial web.
Can't imagine what the world will look like.
Well, luckily we have seen a little bit of it. Our science fiction movies do show us kind of interesting futures. And mostly we see the Minority Report or Ready Player One or all these really beautiful science fiction movies, Valerian, a lot of others. But we could never actually make them for real. We could only make them in a movie. Now we can make science fiction real. We're going to be living in the world of science fiction from now on.
That's very cool.
This is the greatest. I mean, I grew up with science fiction, and you go like, oh, gee, wouldn't this be great if it were real? And now we can make it for real.
So it's because you grew up with the science fiction that makes you want to make this happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of the science fiction, you look at it and go like, why can't we make that? Oh, let's write code until we figure out how to do it. So we did. We studied it for quite a long time.
We have a practical example video here for
Sure.
the automatic supply chain. Let's take a look.
You have a cargo box. It identifies the truck, makes sure the truck's going to the right port, and it pays the truck. Same thing for the ship. I'd like to go from Rotterdam to Long Beach. And so it's actually, the cargo itself has its own ID, the ship has its own ID, and they have their own wallets. Finally, it could actually order a truck. And based on whether it wants a faster truck or a cheaper truck going to its storage destination, it can pay for that. In each case, it's identifying where it is. This is all being entirely tracked and traced. Finally, as a drone brings it to your home or office, where you've been able to define the policy and permissions for where the drone can land as a default setting. Even identify that it's an Amazon drone or it's a drone from another company and allow it into your airspace or not. Have it dropped off on the back porch or the front porch or the roof.
We believe the Spatial Web has vast implications for all industries. Would you give us some more typical examples?
Sure. So basically, a lot of times we're doing things manually right now. We're driving trucks, we're doing various kinds of things, and it's very inefficient. As you saw from the video, we can now automate things. And particularly when we apply artificial intelligence and robotics, and we're going to have driverless vehicles now. When, let's say it took 500,000 units of energy to do something in the past, with Spatial Web maybe only 200,000 units of energy, maybe less. So it's very sustainable. We get more for less. And that goes all the way from very simple things like retail. Walk into a Whole Foods store and you just talk to your Siri and say what you're looking for, and it shows you a green line on the floor, takes you right to what you want, and you get it, and then you just walk out of the store. No cashier check-in line or anything like that. Of course, you can also order from home. What happens is once you've got the whole world programmed, because what we did is we took the normal World Wide Web, and then we added high-quality digital mapping of the entire world. So we know every little square foot of the whole planet is now programmable. And then we took like a game engine. So then you can navigate, you can set up rules and pathways and things like that so that the whole planet can slowly be programmed over the next 20 or 30 years. So now we have a programmable planet. Well, then everything becomes like Amazon. I mean, it's just fast and efficient, and everything drops in price, and you feel wealthier. And so I think whether it's a college campus, it's easier to navigate. Whether it's a hospital, you know exactly where all your equipment is and when it's due to be repaired or maintained. Everything is more clear and concise, and the artificial intelligence can be watching over it and alerting you when you need something or when something needs to be done.
Also at the airport.
Of course, airports are a natural, any port really, airport, seaport, all these areas where you're having a lot of movement through. Now you've got more clarity and more safety. Even things like maintenance of a jet plane. Right now, if you have to do a repair on the engine, you get an iPad and you walk out and you try and look at the engine and look at the iPad and make the repair. In the future, the engine is intelligent. It sees you. And it knows you have to be a level 7 mechanic to touch it. If you're a level 5, it says you're not allowed to touch me.
What about the media and news and the media coverage and advertising, how will it look like by using the spatial intelligence system?
Again, a lot of these things are going to be hard to see. We can see certain things now, but look what happened when they invented the World Wide Web. Nobody imagined Google, Facebook, Amazon, none of these things, Yelp, all this stuff comes out. So I think we can see certain things now, but brilliant people in China, in Japan, in America, in France, in Sweden, in South Africa, wherever, are going to invent all kinds of new things we can't even imagine. But certainly we will have holograms, like a personal assistant. It'll look like a real person if we like, and it'll be like our butler or our personal assistant. They can find things for us, they can guide us, they can tell us things almost the way Siri does now on our phone, but more advanced. So advertising changes. You're not being assaulted by advertising. When you want something, you just kind of go, well, I'm in the market for a new bed or a new couch. And you get a lot of ideas, and you can say kind of what you're looking for, and it can show you where they are and bring them to you. And when you see something you like, you have an easier selection process. So I think shopping, all these kinds of things will change dramatically because of the world we're in. So advertising, and then media is really different because you're in media. I mean, when you program the planet, and you're going to have little glasses, almost like sunglasses you wear in the future, the whole planet has information in it. It's guiding you, it's showing you things, and so the media gets embedded into this new virtual world. So we have augmented reality, where you can actually see digital objects in the physical world, and then we have virtual reality, where you're completely on the surface of Mars, or you're in a fantasy world like Hogwarts School with Harry Potter, that kind of thing. So it's going to be an exciting period of time, and so much, everything we have right now on the World Wide Web has to be now redone in 3D. So just think of all the jobs that will create. That's 1 billion websites right there, and many more to come. So there are many new jobs on the other side of this, and there's some retraining, but more jobs than we currently have.
So Dan, you look very passionate about what you're doing. Please share with us, what about the Spatial Web really gets you fired up?
Well, one of the things that disturbs me right now is the fires going on in the Amazon. I mean, we're really messing with the climate. And so with the Spatial Web, it can monitor the entire world and help us manage the environment better. While I'm talking to you, part of my brain is forming words and I'm making a language, but the other part of my brain, which I'm not really even aware of, is monitoring my heartbeat, keeping my body temperature at 98.6. We call that the autonomic nervous system. So the Spatial Web can become a nervous system for the entire planet. It helps communication, but it also helps to monitor and keep the planet healthy. So I think that's a wonderful thing. I think it also brings countries together more effectively. Right now, China and the United States at the government levels are having an argument, even though at the personal level, the people really like working together. We work really well together. I mean, China and America are like completely, they work so perfectly together. It's the same entrepreneurial energy in China as in the United States, maybe more in China actually. But so I think the Spatial Web will help us have a better international community with less arguments around resources and power and that kind of thing. So I think it also helps us live together on the planet better.
Where are you when it comes to funding of the Spatial Web?
We've been really supported all along. I mean, it's such an exciting idea. So we've had really good support from family offices and venture capital funds, and we're growing fast. So we'll always need more funding, but we've been well supported, and we have great business partners, and great customers. So it's evolving. We already have offices in Shanghai, Tokyo, Dubai, Paris, Rotterdam, of course here in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Vancouver, and now New York. We've been well received, I'll put it that way. So we've had good support.
That's great. How do you see the Spatial Web growing over the next 10 years?
Yeah, so what's great about the way the web works is if you look at the current web, it really is this vast network worldwide of fiber optic cables and servers and undersea cables and satellites and cell phones and computers, all working together to create a global network of hardware. And so when we make a new software breakthrough, we can drop it onto that and it just spreads through the network. And so that's what happened 25 years ago with the World Wide Web. There was already the web for communications there, the internet. So when he dropped the protocol, look what happened from 1994 to 2000. That's only 6 years. Over $1 trillion in new business. I mean, Amazon was big, all these companies were blowing up. So we think the spatial web from 2020 to 2030 will completely transform the way we do business, the way we educate ourselves, the way we handle a lot of health teaching and diagnostics, many other things. So it looks like it's going to be a very fast uptake because it solves so many problems we currently have. Companies are taking this and they're applying it just inside their own company, and they're cutting their costs by 30–40% just switching to the spatial tools. So it's a remarkable breakthrough.
Do you see Versys having an IPO?
Yeah, I would imagine in 3 or 4 years, at the rate we're growing,
That's great.
we would probably IPO in the 3 or 4 year period of